Yeah, that's the first section. That's fine. I usually tend to start at the beginning. I forgot. And so I was just asking if anybody has anything else to add or ask relevant to the first section that we discussed. Okay. So this is the
Like,
next question.
I
Yes.
just have a question.
Yes, Chakresh.
I mean, I know the dharma's duty, but like what exactly is dharma? Because in Sanskrit there are multiple definitions of a word, right?
Yeah. Uh, Absolutely. There's many different definitions of dharma. But so the root of the word is dra, means dr. That means like something which holds. So something which is like most foundational is usually called as the dharma, the nature. So that's why Krishna gives both Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma, because we are the spirit souls. So spirit soul has a certain nature. So that according to that, the dharma is to actually be connected with the super soul or the supreme lord. So that is one level of yoga. But we are also currently situated in a mind and body apparatus. We are in a vehicle. So then, according to that, also we have some duties in this world. So when we have to handle both, we have to balance both. So dharma in this case is basically both the levels are included, or the dharma of the soul and the dharma of the person's psychophysical nature. So karma yoga includes very strongly the psychophysical nature, because we are all very influenced by it. That's why Krishna is starting with the karma yoga. And as the person's psychophysical nature gets more and more aligned with his soul nature, the eternal nature, then it becomes easy for this person to practice. So as you see, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, and bhakti yoga, they are all like there is more and more alignment of the psychophysical nature and the eternal nature of the soul nature. So that is why there are different types, because to the degree our alignment is very far, we start with karma yoga. And as we go towards the higher yogas, then the alignment becomes more and more, they become aligned. Our mind and the intelligence and the ego, it's all very aligned with the soul. That is why there is different types of yoga. Did this even answer your question, Chakresh? So thank you. So here the other question that we wanted to explore. Okay, can you guys see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, I lost you guys. Like if anybody wants to raise your hand or something, I won't be able to see you. Just tell me that you have a question, or I have to stop my share and restart my share. So the other question that we wanted to explore today is like, why is it important to receive spiritual knowledge from a tradition? So the idea that Krishna speaks that in this chapter is like the knowledge is usually passed through parampara. So what is the importance of parampara? Why is it like kind of so closed? Why is it only some people are actually authorized to give the knowledge, and why not others? So the whole idea is not discrimination or keeping people away from it. It's just like how in this world, it's not that anyone can teach in a college or a school. So they need to have a certain education. They need some kind of an authority and authorization for being able to give some knowledge. First of all, they were trained so that they could actually give that knowledge to others. So similarly in spiritual circles also. So first they are taught, and then they also practice it. Along with spiritual practices, there is knowledge, and when that qualification is there, so then there are no misconceptions or wrong conclusions. They are aligned with the original message. That is why sometimes it gets lost over the period of time when people are not actually spiritually practicing the knowledge that they are being given. So then there are many misconceptions and wrong conclusions that come into picture. So that is one thing that we can avoid by receiving the knowledge from the proper sources, because we have all these famous opinions in highly like what you call academic circles, or even in religious circles. People might think, oh yeah, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, but we are all God. We are all I am God, like you are God. So we are all God, but still, yeah, Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita because he is already has achieved his godhood, and I am yet to achieve that godhood. That's the only difference. Something like this kind of an attitude is there. But Krishna, right in this first section, very clearly says, no, Arjuna, you don't remember the previous births, but I remember everything. So he creates a clarification, and he says his birth is transcendental, his activities are transcendental. He says by understanding his birth and activities as transcendental, you can achieve liberation. So there is a very clear distinction that he actually follows.
I just wanted to say one thing. I
Yes.
think I mean, I don't know whether it's a misconception or it's the first time I'm listening that it's a misconception. But it may be because it is also mentioned that Krishna resides in each and every soul that is there on this planet. So maybe because of that, a lot of people think that we are all God because he resides in us.
Yeah, but that still is a misconception, right? Just because the Supreme Lord resides in, because he resides in every atom. It's not just in the living being's heart. So Paramatma manifestation is there, but the Paramatma and the Atma are not same. And the other misconception is that, oh, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, but he is immoral. He had married many gopis, or he had many queens in Dwarka, and all these kind of understandings, trying to judge Krishna like an other human being. So that, and also the many people think, oh, the Mahabharata Gita, the whole thing was a mythology. Just it's all an allegory for you to learn from some lesson, and that's all is that matters. So our people can screw out their own idea from the Bhagavad Gita. They'll say non-violence is the most emphasized message in the Bhagavad Gita. Somebody may say that, but that's not true. Bhakti is the most emphasized message. If you really, on a scholarly level, if you sit to work and understand the Bhagavad Gita's message, it's very evident what is the most pronounced message of the Bhagavad Gita. What is it speaking about is very clear. But there are many famous authors, I have also read some of them. They very confidently come up with the opinions like, in non-violence is the most important message that the Bhagavad Gita has to give to the world. Or there are other opinions like, this whole thing is an allegory, these things did not happen, it's just for us to learn knowledge. See, so these are academically very famous people, politicians with their understanding, but because they don't receive knowledge from any spiritual authority in an authorized parampara, and they don't practice those things, so they develop a lot of misconceptions and wrong conclusions. And that is why Krishna is time and again resetting this. So there are two kind of lineages that Krishna sets up. One is the seminal lineage, and the other one is the spiritual lineage. The seminal lineage is actually what Krishna is explaining in this chapter. He gave it to Vivaswan, Vivaswan gave it to his son Manu, Manu gave it to his son Ikshvaku. But eventually, over a period of time, it gets lost. So again, now Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. However, there is a spiritual lineage. That is how we have received this message. Today, whatever we are discussing and we are reading from Srila Prabhupada, and whatever I'm sharing, this is all received from the spiritual lineage where Krishna spoke to Lord Brahma, Brahma spoke to Narada, and Narada spoke to Madhva. And in this way, all the acharyas to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to Srila Prabhupada, and from Prabhupada, we all have received this. So, in this way, there is a spiritual lineage and there is a seminal lineage. because in the seminal lineage, it is the Raja Rishis, it is the Rajas, it is the saintly kings. They actually develop that, have that knowledge, so that even though they are kings, they actually rule their subjects according to the aspect of dharma, principles of dharma, and that's why they are called as Raja Rishis. Then there is spiritual culture in the world. There is peace. There is purpose of this material existence. The purpose of the creation of the material existence is achieved through spiritual management, spiritual administration, spiritual leadership. And there is the spiritual lineage separately, which parallelly acts to continue to keep informing the Raja Rishis and fill in the gaps. And some of the seminal lineages lost. And here we are very fortunate to have this lineage of the spiritual lineage, where the knowledge is coming through so many exalted spiritual teachers, right from Krishna or towards until like Srila Prabhupada and onwards. So we are very fortunate to have this knowledge, because this knowledge actually produces transformation when practiced. So that is also another important thing that Srila Prabhupada says. When you receive knowledge outside the sampradaya, then it does not transform the heart. For spiritual transformation, you need to receive it from the authorized personalities. And this is the first section, the first 10 verses. Krishna spoke about the importance of receiving the spiritual knowledge, and he himself comes just for the sake of giving that knowledge. He himself comes, and how his birth and activities, and they are all transcendental. Just because he comes to the material world does not mean he is like any other conditioned living entity. So he sets himself apart. He says, just by understanding my birth and nature and activities, one person becomes liberated and becomes free from the entanglement of karma when he offers his activities in devotion to me. So the next section is the importance of action. Like now he just ended the 10th verse. He says, whoever understands me fully, they will engage in my devotion service and they'll become free from karma. So now the next section is again going to continue about how does this freedom from karma happens. So before that, he is speaking how he says, ye yathamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah. He says, however people approach me, accordingly I reciprocate with them, and all people are on my own path, on my path. Everybody is on my path. They may realize it or not, but they're all on the path towards God in their own way. So then the natural question comes, okay, do all paths lead to the same goal? Right? Have you ever heard this before? That all paths lead to the same goal? Yes. So is it really a bona fide message? Is it an appropriate understanding? What does Srila Prabhupada speak about? So the simple thing Srila Prabhupada says is, if everything was leading to the same goal, there was no need for Krishna to speak to Arjuna to fight, because not fighting is also going to lead to the same goal, right? There was no need for Krishna to speak Bhagavad Gita at all. If this message holds that all paths lead to the same goal, then there is no need of any knowledge. You and me, we can do whatever we want, because everything ultimately leads to the same goal. So that it's a counterintuitive understanding for the very existence of Bhagavad Gita. And the other argument that Srila Prabhupada gives is like, Arjuna also did not have any need to be confused. Krishna should have told him, Arjuna, whether you want to fight or you don't want to fight, everything leads to the same thing. Just do whatever is comfortable for you. Don't worry about anything. But that's not the case. Arjuna is worried because if I do this, this will happen. If I do that, that will happen. I will get sins. And he has so many understands. He is also showing some understanding that it's not the same taking any path. So some people may say, oh, no, we are not saying that if you take a train to Chicago, you will end up in Pennsylvania. No, we are not saying that. We are speaking about spiritual knowledge. We are speaking about spiritual path. The goal is actually the Supreme, who is all pervasive. He is everywhere. So whatever direction you go, you have nothing other than the Supreme. So people are very you see, either people are super exclusivist, they say my path is the only path to go to God, and rest of them all going to hell. Or there are other people who say you do whatever you want, anything, everything leads to the Supreme because he is unlimited. However, what Krishna says is neither exclusivism nor pluralism, a mindless pluralism. What he speaks about is inclusivism. He says everybody is on my path. When Krishna says that everybody is on my path, what Krishna says is like, okay, a person may be practicing karma yoga, a person may be practicing jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga or bhakti yoga or sakama or nishkama. All these things are actually towards Krishna, leading towards Krishna. They may lead to different levels of realization. They may lead to varying degrees of realization, but they are still actually leading towards Krishna. In that sense, they are all on that path. What about somebody who is actually not following anything religious, and he is completely irreligious, and he is engaging in things which is not conducive spiritually? So he is not. He is also in the path of Krishna in the sense. Uh, the punishment, the whole karma, everything is designed by Krishna. So in that sense, he is also on the path of Krishna. But it's like Srila Prabhupada gives this example. A prisoner is also within the country. He is also a citizen. He is also under the government's protection. But he's not a free citizen. He's a prisoner. But he is also under the purview of the government. But he is not as free as a normal citizen. So similarly, everybody is under Krishna's plan, and everybody is on his path. But some may be within a prison, but some may be free and progressing towards Krishna and to know Krishna more and more and closer and closer. So like we all have this experience of watching either a football game or a cricket game in a stadium, and like all the people actually watch the same game, but where you sit in the pavilion actually makes a lot of difference. Like what is your experience of the game differs depending on where you're sitting. So similarly, all these yogas, they are all focused on the same absolute truth, but it depends on each path that you're taking, whether you're following karma yoga, jnana yoga, or bhakti yoga. Each one has its own way of facilitating the follower in realizing the Supreme. So though the Supreme is same, the realization can be very different. The realization can differ. So that's why Krishna is saying, yes, inclusivism is there. Everybody is on my path, but the level of realizations are very different. It does not lead to the same goal in that sense. Anything to ask or add? I hope it was clear. Okay. Today's class is
It,
one of the
uh,
usually quiet classes.
sorry.
Yes.
I don't have a doubt, just an observation. From verse 8, when I read that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Lord Krishna in Kali Yuga, whereas I was under the impression that it's going to be Kalki at the end of Kali Yuga, and well, I was quite surprised to read that. And when I asked, other people around me, hey, how many avatars of Lord Krishna do you know? And they were the usual numbers and the names that I knew, and hardly anyone knew about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like barely anyone. And they were all surprised when I showed them the verse from like verse 8, and well,
Yes. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada has added that. So if I have to be quick and clear about my answer, yes, Kalki is the avatar of the age who comes towards the end to clean whoever is remaining, and there cannot be any more dharmic or like any more spiritual transmission or practice. Have you ever seen sometimes like you make a dough, a big ball of dough, and you pull something out from that and make a ball and to make a bread or like a kind of a roll, dinner roll or something like that. Pav in India you call it pav, right? So you make a small ball and then you make pav. At the end, a small thing is remaining. It's not useful either way. It's not enough to make anything. So you just discard it. Something like that happens at the end of Kali Yuga. People, whoever wants to take up to spiritual knowledge and practice, they have all moved on. The remaining population, for due to the external reasons as well as their own condition, the consciousness, there is no much hope of them making any spiritual advancement. So Krishna understands there is no need in maintaining this yuga, the time frame. So he just winds it up to restart everything, like mesh and restart, so that they can have better opportunities. So that is the role of Kalki. However, before actually giving up on the people and winding it up, you have to make sure as many people actually advance spiritually. So that role is done by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he comes and gives this easy method of chanting Hare Krishna and doing Sankirtan and understanding the spiritual nature of Krishna. So he offers this easy process so that as many people as possible can take up to the spiritual consciousness and can grow spiritually and achieve spiritual consciousness. And in that way, they will not be actually uh, like lingering around until the end of Kali Yuga to meet Kalki. So both the roles are done. By nature, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's role was a devotee externally. So it is called as a Channa avatar. It is not like a prevalent avatar like other avatars. The purpose of the avatar is to actually project himself as a devotee and to show to the world that how a Krishna devotee actually behaves, what is his nature, what is his heart, how does he conduct himself. So that was his purpose. So he's not prevalently known as the incarnation of Krishna. But if you read medieval history, even academically speaking, on the spiritual aspect of medieval history, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an unmissable figure. Okay. So in the
Okay, I'll tell this to all the people I spoke to.
yeah, means we could discuss more on this, but for this class context, I'm keeping it minimal. Yes, Chakresh. Thank you, Purva.
Guruji, why are there so many different religions if there is only like one true path to attaining God?
Actually, I do have that in the coming week as a topic, but in short, I can surely take that. So, why are there multiple religions if there is only one true path to God? So, the idea is, say, for example, there is Christianity, there is Islam, there is Judaism, there is Hinduism, there is Buddhism, many more the paths are there. The idea of all these various religions, Srila Prabhupada explains, is like different time, different places, and different cultures, different abilities of people. So accordingly, God appears in all those places, or he sends his representatives so that everybody has some opportunity to come close to him. So Srila Prabhupada, in one of these purports in this chapter also, he mentions, I am forgetting the purport number, but I was reading the other day. So he clearly says that how a lower grade school can have max, a higher school can also have max, but the lower grade may cover the basics of max, but a higher grade can cover higher aspects of mathematics. So it's not that they are like differing, they're just building upon the understanding. Similarly, if you see between all these religions, the essence is always okay, this world is temporary and the permanent situation is outside this, and our eternal relationship is with God. These kind of principles are prevalent in all these religions. But your question, why are there many? The reason is because people have different tendencies and people have different spiritual level of consciousness. So accordingly, there are different religions, though they all present the same universal principle. Like we go to school, but not all of us go to the same grade. We go to different grades, and as we grow, then we go to the next grade. So same in terms of religion also, they all present the same, but there is in on a certain level there is also a gradation.
Yeah. I also have a different another question.
Yes.
So, if Buddha is an incarnation of Krishna, when Buddha was talking about Krishna, he said that he was a coward who, like, I don't know, he just said like bad things, like,
The thing is, like, the scriptures that wherever we are listening from, so we need to see, is that like made up or is it really spoken by Buddha, because there's nothing for Buddha to have against Krishna. So we have to see the authenticity of the opinion, where it is coming from. Say if I
good
say
question.
anything from Bhagavad Gita, I can quote a verse, I can give, and I have literally a 1,000 year tradition of commentaries for Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is one of the world's most what do you call, without any errors, like even academically accepted, that it has a commentary tradition of over 1,000 years. We have even before Shankaracharya's commentaries are there. So the text has been very carefully protected and propagated, has been handed down, and we can check the versions, and these 700 verses have come without even much change, even hardly any change. That we say very few differences, one verse missing here, like that, between the versions. So over 1,000 years of tradition. So like that, we need to see wherever we are, the opinion is coming from. Is it really authorized? Was it what? How far it is preserved? Was it? Was there any interpolation? All of those things. Because I haven't heard. I know some other religion, they have stronger opinion against Krishna. In India, it's also an Indian thing. But I have not heard so much about Buddhism having against, unless the recent people have like kind of inserted something.
Thank you.
Okay. So what is the time? Oh, we are past 6. So for the next week, then we have this question like, why did God create the caste system? That's also a thing. And then the next section, reaction-free work and onwards. So we will discuss that in the following week. I really wanted to finish 24 verses today, but I don't think it is easy. So thank you all for taking your time out, and we'll see you in the following week. Anything else? If anybody has a question or something like that, I'm here for some time.
So I just wanted to, so you're going to start at I guess 14?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, will you, obviously, I think, I'm hoping, we'll get further along till then 24. So would you like us to read further than that?
Yeah, means you can continue, like you can kind of, I will also try to send the chapter summary soon, but you can read the translations of the chapter, you can read the purports. If you have the time, you can read the purports of the verses also, but surely the overall translations, you kind of keep reading. It takes like 10 minutes or so, but if you read more and more, you will start seeing the connections between the verses, why they are flowing the way they are flowing. And now when you go back and look at the first 10 verses, you will be able to see a thread there. First 3 verses are speaking about how Krishna spoke to this and how this knowledge gets transmitted. What is the qualification? Then Arjuna asks a question. So he answers that difference between him and like how Krishna is transcendental in verses 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 and 6 is about the transcendental birth of Krishna. 7 and 8 is about transcendental activities of Krishna. 9 and 10 is result of understanding his transcendental nature. So, and then like this, there is a good flow that is happening, a logical conversation that's going on. And so that becomes evident the more and more you read through these translations. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes, Purva?
Well, I wanted to ask you whether you know of any online course or any class that could help us to learn and memorize the shlokas, the Sanskrit ones.
I really wanted to include that also into this thing, but I wasn't sure like how much Sanskrit shloka was eagerly like people were looking for it, and within an hour it was becoming tough for me to include that. But if many are interested, you can post me in the WhatsApp group, or I can post a poll. Then I can do a separate class just for the shlokas. It need not be an hour long or something like that. It could be like a 20 minutes thing. It could be a 30 minutes thing through the week. 1 or 2 days, we could do 15 minutes. We can just pick up one shloka, work on it, and then go ahead to the next like that. So we can do that once or twice a week, a suitable time for people like that. So I can post a poll, and if people are interested, I'll be happy to hand. Shlokas are my thing. I really love shlokas because they have much more than what you translate them into English. So knowing them actually helps. However, it would need an extra time. So I'll post a poll. Let's see, depending on, even if it is a few people, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Because I searched on YouTube, as you had suggested earlier, that listen to it and then try to repeat it. But even on YouTube, there seems to be a conflict because there are some scholars who say that it has to be read in a particular meter. The others say, no, this meter is wrong. It has to be read in this meter. And then I don't know like what to do. Although I can read Sanskrit, I mean, so, but then I don't know, it just gets very confusing.
Yeah, like we may not go through all the verses, but we can at least pick up the important verses and learn. And I will share the meter that I know and I have received. I was trained by other my teachers. I'm also not from a Sanskrit background. I grew up in Tamil Nadu. I didn't know anything of Sanskrit before coming to ISKCON, so I have a very limited arsenal in terms of meters and all that. So I will share with whatever I know. See you guys. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you, everyone. Karnika, you had a question you wanted to ask?
It's